Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why Coach K should take note of what Villanova did last night.
And I'm Cowherd, and I'll tell you why I actually like all the crazy stuff Jim Moore is saying about Josh Rosen. I like it. Speak for yourself starts now.
You're the guy. We've been looking for you. There's one guy that likes what
I'm going to defend Jim Moore today.
You're that guy. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by a couple of former Duke Blue Devils who are actually here on time, Corey Maggette and Dante Jones. They beat Colin and I to the set. Let's start in college basketball, where Villanova got a huge game out of Dante DiVincenzo last night and took home their second championship in 3 years with a blowout win over Michigan. The Wolverines were just the latest team to get run over by Jay Wright's squad, who finished their dominant tourney run with an average margin of victory of almost 18 points per game. In fact, this was just the fourth time ever and the first time in 50 years that a team won both a semifinal and title game by more than 16 points. Cowherd, is this Villanova team an all-time great?
No, they're an all-time good in a very watered-down sport. When I watched that last night, we all kind of knew that Villanova had better players, right? And they'd be blowing people out. But Michigan really told you the story of college basketball. Michigan, in 5 of their 6 games, shot under 45%. In 2018, can't hit threes, has a marginal NBA prospect, and got here. Michigan in 1985 does not get to the Final Four. Villanova's really good. They're ahead of the sport on the three. And they've really become as good a college basketball program as we have. I mean, I think right now they're every bit Duke, maybe not on the recruiting trail, but outside of that, they're Duke, and I think better than Kentucky. But, man, Michigan doesn't get to that game in the 70s and 80s, Jason.
I agree, but I'm going to redefine the discussion just a little bit. They are great for this era we've just moved into.
Okay.
And so when I go back and look at some of the great Duke teams, Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurd, Grant Hill on the same team, UNLV teams, even the Fab Five that never won a championship, these guys aren't that. But for this era and what we're going to consider great moving forward, I don't know if you can be any better than what they were. They have a group of veteran players who play really unselfishly, who have, I'm not big on Brunson as a pro, but he'll have a cup of coffee in the pros. Bridges will play in the pros. I think the Dante kid probably may be the best pro prospect. But, again, to have that much talent spread out and that much experience.
In 2018.
That's as great as you can be.
Greatness is defined by consistency. And they've been consistent over the past couple of years. And I think they've set the tone for a dominant basketball program. As I said before, they're the new Duke of the 90s when Duke was emerging. They had some talent, they had some pros, and they set the tone, and they built a program over the past 20, 25 years. So I think Jay Wright is doing a great job of creating a program and developing pros and developing guys who are going to be pros for long periods of time over there at Villanova. I think they have 3 pros on that team right now.
Right.
But just think about it. If you got a team that has won a championship, national championship over the last 3 years, you have to be validated as one of the all-time greats. You look at what Coach K did in 91 and 92 when they won back-to-back years. But now, because you do that, you change the whole tempo. Me and Dante was talking about this earlier. They are the new Duke, right? Duke usually gets the top recruits all the time. But now these second-tier guys are finding out how to play. And when you keep them there in their system, it builds more chemistry. That's why Jay Wright's team is thriving.
There is one thing that's interesting, that 5 years ago, college basketball was trying to tell me that experience didn't matter. Just get the best players. When I watched them last night, these were grown-ups. Like, it was an interesting team where they kind of got lucky with a couple of recruits, one gets hurt. Like, these, not only do they have NBA length, not only do they pass like NBA players, right, but these were 21-year-old guys. And in this world of 18-year-old players, there's a certain maturity to that locker room. It's like, it felt like old college basketball where you didn't have to call a timeout every time there was duress.
It felt to me like I grew up in Indianapolis, grew up in Indiana, following Bobby Knight's basketball program. The 76 Indiana Hoosier team that beat everybody, last team to go undefeated, this team looked like that to me. They have a system and a belief system that they stick to, very unselfish. Nobody really so much better than anybody else on the team, and that's why I would throw this curveball, and it's interesting, particularly with Corey and Dante here, is that I wish these guys would come back for another year. I wish they would do what Florida, if they really wanted to stamp themselves as great. We saw Noah, Corey Brewer, and Al Horford do it at Florida, come back and defend their title. It didn't hurt their pro career. Why not come back and establish yourself as an all-time great team?
Let me ask you this. We think all these other teams are great, right? Okay. But if you look at a lot of those Duke players and Kentucky players, they weren't dominating pros Christian Laettner was better than people think he was, but he wasn't a dominant pro. Grant. Hurley had the accident. Grant got hurt a lot.
But he was dominant
when
he was still one of the greatest players of all time.
Brunson makes it, Dante makes it, Bridges makes it, and the other kid, is it Spellman?
Yes.
That's 4 pros.
Brunson's going to be great in the YMCA. I'm not sure.
Brunson's going to be a cerebral point guard in this game where you need to be able to shoot.
Lithuania.
And he has the ability to post up right now, which creates different dynamics with pick and pop fives. So he'll be able to do that in the NBA.
Hi guys, it's the Herd, Colin Cowherd. Before we get back to Speak for Yourselves podcast, I want to tell you about Toyo Tires. UFC fighters are tough. You know what else? Toyo Tires. That's why Toyo has been around and a proud sponsor of UFC. Like the fighters, they're built for battle. It's an all-or-nothing philosophy. Aggressive design, durability, on- and off-road capabilities. Yes to all of them. Living life on the highway? Toyo, T-O-Y-O, has you covered. No matter what you drive, Toyo has what you need, and frankly, tires just look cool. Nothing ruins your day faster than being stranded on the side of a road with a flat tire. Any vehicle, any terrain, all or nothing. The next time you need tires, ask for Toyo. To experience more, visit Toyo, toyotires.com/UFC. toyotires.com/UFC. Now, let's get back to the show.
Villanova has now won 2 titles in 3 years without a single one-and-done player, which has to drive guys a little crazy, right? Like Coach K. Earlier in the tournament, the Blue Devils coach was asked about his decision to embrace the style that he once resisted, one and done. And he responded, quote, "It's not like we changed to go one and done. The world changed. We didn't change. The world changed. When I recruit a kid, I never talk about any other school." Whitlock, do you think Jay Wright in Villanova has made, say, Coach K rethink his one-and-done approach?
He should, and he really should. I don't like his answer there in terms of the world changed. You don't have to go the way of the world. The way of the world's everybody jumping off a building, everybody's stupid. Jay Wright saw an opportunity. He's like, oh, Coach K is going to come off his game and follow John Calipari. That created an opportunity for Jay Wright and hopefully some other teams to go a different direction. I think he shouldn't. Again, Duke's always going to get top talent. But you don't have to have 4 of the top 11 guys in order to win a championship. I think they'd be better off with some more experienced players surrounding a Bagley and another great. I'm very suspicious about whether this thing next year is going to work.
Go ahead.
When you're in a position where you have guys that dreamt of going to Duke their whole life, do you tell them no if they're 1, 2, and 3 in their class and maybe 10? Like, you have kids that have wanted to go to Duke their whole life, and then Coach K's in a position where you take the best talent. Some of them mature, some of them are not. But maturity is the key, like you said before. Some kids are mature, some kids are not. And the good teams that work in college basketball, the teams that are mature, you can have an 18-year-old as mature as a 21-year-old. It doesn't matter the age. It matters the maturity level and the ability to learn at a quick pace. So Coach is not really going to change his dynamic right now. He's just going to try to put together the best team possible because there are mature teams with the Fab Five. They're mature teams that have existed in college basketball no matter how old the kids were. They were just mature and ready to win.
I covered the Fab Five. They weren't mature, but continue.
Mature in a basketball sense.
Well, again, first of all, we're saying this, but it ultimately boils down to if Coach K always has the best talent. Coach K always has those guys that is going to go 1 through 5 in the lottery. Villanova hasn't had those guys. So they have to stay in order to build their repertoire in order to get to that level. It has nothing to do with Coach K. Coach K understands this, and we coming from this position because we played there.
Absolutely.
Coach K understands. Good coaches understand when things will change. I was the first player in Duke history that left. Did they like it? No. But Coach K knew that the change will happen. It doesn't matter that the way of the world, you have to figure out how to continue to build that program and that university.
I thought of Kentucky last night. Calipari's been there 9 years, one title. In the footprint of Nick Saban, who wins every year. Duke's got all sorts of players next year, and Nova will be good. We don't know if Kentucky will be good next year. I feel Nova's pulling away from Kentucky.
I think Villanova's pulling away from everybody, and Jay Wright right now is the man in college basketball, and I know Coach K is great. But again, Corey, what I'm suggesting, though, is you got 4 guys coming to Duke at 18, 19 years old who will be thinking about the NBA draft every day they're on Duke's campus. It really can't be that way.
But I think every kid, when they're in college basketball, they're playing their best to be in the NBA. Right. Every single guy is preparing for that.
Villanova will have this problem.
They're going to have this problem, too. Jay Wright is doing a great job. He has kept these veteran guys, these 21-year-olds that has a lot of chemistry, cerebral type of players. But again, if this program continues to do that, more recognition comes, which leads to more TV time, and guys will try to leave early.
So what does Jay Wright do? So Jay Wright has been in national championship 2 of the past 3 years, 2 national championships, and that top-tier talent is looking at Villanova now. So now when you have you have 4 of the top 12 kids that want to come.
You pick your spots. You don't have to take all 4.
You take the best talent available, and you make.
So here's what's interesting. So Villanova's classes recruiting rankings have gone like 48, 29, 45, 28, 12. What happens if it goes to 4? I agree with Whitlock. I think you have to find fits. But I do think not a dilemma, but I think it will be an interesting moment for Jay when 5-star guys want to go to Villanova. Exactly. But I agree with you that you don't have to take.
Corey, would you have wanted to play at Duke with 3 or 4 other 18-year-olds who are all on the court at the same time? Wouldn't you have had a better chance? I'm sure you did had a better chance of being surrounded by some veteran players who could teach you some things. I just think, again, I'm not saying, yeah, everybody dreams about playing at Duke. You don't have to take them all. Hell, I dreamed about playing at Duke. You don't got to take me, So
when I came to Duke, I was a transfer from Rutgers University, and Coach K sat me in his office and said, you know what, I have 4 McDonald's All-Americans coming in. I have McDonald's All-Americans from the past, but all I care about is who competes. Nobody is guaranteed anything in this locker room. Nobody is guaranteed a spot, a play. We've turned away guys who said, I need to be a starter. I need the offense to run through me. Okay, we'll let you out of your commitment because it depends on who works the hardest and who's the most consistent. You have a shot just like any other All-American that was a past All-American or a present All-American. You have the same shot. If you work harder than them, you have a spot. And so all this All-American, all these people who are touted to be what it is, some fall off. Some All-Americans fall off and are not pros. It's not a guaranteed equation that if you're All-American, you're going to be a pro and you're going to be successful in college basketball.
What that looks at, too, you look at what the McDonald's All-American. We've seen multiple teams that have 5 or 6 McDonald's All-Americans on a team. And if you're a McDonald's All-American, the world thinks that these guys are going to make it to the pros. But again, you don't know what's going to happen. From Coach K's perspective, if you go there, you're absolutely right. I'm not telling you that you start. You have to be a hard worker. And what Coach K is going to do, he's going to make you a hard worker. He's going to make you a guy that can run through a wall. Ultimately, what the goal is to win a national championship.
So when they don't win the national championship next year, I'm inviting y'all both back, and we'll have this conversation again. They need to adjust their strategy. Season 2 of the Big Three is right around the corner. Founder Ice Cube and Commissioner Clyde Drexler were here for the draft lottery on Undisputed this morning. The draft airs live on April 12th, and the season tips off live on June 22nd. Catch them both right here on FS1.
That league is growing. Welcome back. We got a couple of Big Three stars right here, Corey Maggette, Dante Jones. Let's return to last night's title game where Dante DiVincenzo blew up on the court last night, but also had a blow up off the court, deleting his Twitter account after it was revealed he had posted several controversial tweets when he was in high school, including a quote from a Meek Mill song that included the N-word. DiVincenzo denied he had posted the tweets and the question, saying, quote, "I didn't do that. It's my account. Yeah, but I never remember doing that." He was also asked if he was responsible for the tweets and replied, that's a good question. Whitlock, is it fair to ask the kid about those tweets when he was even a younger kid?
I think he was 14 at the time. I don't think it's fair. I mean, kid just won a national championship, named most outstanding player. You come and say, hey, when you were 14, there's a Meek Mill lyric on your Twitter feed. I just think this is crazy and preposterous. He's from Philadelphia. Meek Mill is from Philadelphia. I don't know any kids, young kids today, particularly basketball players, that aren't into rap music. Is it something that I would want my kid, whether black or white, posting? Again, I don't like the N-word, period. I don't like anybody using it. But to troll this dude on this night, to pretend like you're making some kind of great point or cleaning up society by embarrassing him on this night, this is just stupid. That's why I hate Twitter. This is why I hate the social justice media.
Yeah, what bothers me is even with presidents, senators, governors, there's always an understanding. Don't hold them accountable what they did at 15. Yeah, right. He's a basketball player. He's a kid. He is writing down a lyric to a song. I mean, we all know that that's a word that generally is not acceptable anywhere, but it has been accepted in some circles of hip-hop music.
Some circles.
And we all, myself included, when, I'm old enough, if the Police, U2 come on, older bands, I do the lyrics. I'm singing the song, Eagles. Okay, so for a young kid, local rapper, basketball player 14, we wouldn't.
A song about Derrick Rose.
We wouldn't hold our presidents to an action at 15, would we?
No, I don't. I think it's fair to speak about, but we have to also forgive if we're gonna speak about it. Yes, you can bring it up, but you also have to take into account that he was 14 and he's not the same man that he is today. And I'm not the same man that I was at 14. I'm not even the same man that I was at 25. Like, it's an evolution for the kid. He's growing up. And we don't know what he was exposed to when he was a child. Like, we don't know his background. We don't know what he's been taught since then. He's obviously on the right progression to being a man. I think he's in good hands with Jay Wright. And we have to forgive him, and we have to try to understand who he is today and not hold against who he was when he was a child.
I totally agree. I think from that standpoint, of course, you don't want to hit an N-word at all. And I think for him, when you're 14, we all do dumb stuff all the time. I probably did something dumb yesterday. But again, from his perspective, we should be celebrating what he did yesterday. To win a national championship, that's one of the highest accolades that you can have from a collegiate standpoint. And so again, when things are going good for a lot of people, you always have to go to that negative to try to put some on his back. And I totally believe, I'm a firm believer in giving guys a second chance and forgiving them.
I just think, what standard are we creating? Because I can sit here and cite verbatim some terrible things I did at 17 and 18 years old. Terrible. I bullied a kid in high school, and I think about it all the time. But I shouldn't be held to that standard of what I did at 17, which was stupid and reprehensible. But you're gonna throw it up in my face on this is this kid's biggest night of probably his life. He's only 19, 20 years old, and someone comes in and puts him in the headlines in a negative fashion over something he did at 14. It's just crazy.
Listen, we have age requirements to buy a drink, to drive a car, to be a president. Yeah. 14 isn't close to any of those guidelines, right? Like, the national drinking age is 21. We don't even think you can have a wine spritzer at 20. So at 14, sitting in your bedroom, listening to a Meek Mill song, I'm going to hold you accountable?
I can only imagine what social media would have been like when I was 14. Like, we judge kids and we judge this age right now, what they do on social media and those things, but we never had it. And we made our mistakes basically in the dark. And we never had that exposure that these kids have and that judgment that these kids have. And for the media to bring it up, I've always been taught, he without sin cast the first stone. And we've all had those moments of immaturity, so we don't have any room to judge.
All right, welcome back. We're joined now by longtime NFL coach Rob Ryan and the founder of the Big League, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to Lamar Jackson, who reportedly will not hire an agent before the draft, sticking with his mother as his manager, despite questions about the advice she's been giving him. Jackson opted not to run the 40 at all and has made few media appearances while his mother has stayed out of the public eye completely. But the guy who recruited Jackson to Louisville, Lamar Thomas, thinks that might be a good thing, saying, quote, "You've seen parents before in these ordeals where they try to be the spokesperson, whether it's LeVar Ball or Todd Marinovich's dad a long time ago. That's not her deal. I know it's hard for you guys in the media because she's not accessible or talkative, but would you rather have it the Ball way or this way?" Cowherd, will Jackson's unorthodox approach hurt his draft stock?
My belief on the draft is everything is something. It's something. The Wonderlic score is something. Baker Mayfield's police video is something. Josh Allen's inaccuracy in college is something. I don't think if you do your work and you like him, you're going to take him. But you start, the burden is on these kids. When you play college football and you're going to get drafted, okay, your season ends, let's say, December 28th in a bowl game, and then you get drafted April 20th. For 4 months, the cameras are on. And who you select as an agent? Do you elect to throw? Do you get in trouble with the cops? Are you a good teammate? So the things he's doing here, it's something. You can't tell me there's not one NFL GM going, I don't love this mom thing.
No, listen, when you're trying to be a mystery, you're hiding something, in my view. And he's attempting. He and his mother are making themselves mysterious. And that's always going to raise eyebrows, in my opinion. And so if I'm a can't-miss prospect, I want to be as accessible as I possibly can be because I'm so confident in my position and my ability to handle everything. I'm not hiding from anybody. And so I just don't think being the mystery man of the draft
That's a good point.
is going to work out for him. It's just bad strategy. And, yeah, if I was a GM, it would raise a red flag to me.
How can you be a mystery man when the last 2 seasons you have over 5,000 yards of offense each year and a total of 95 touchdowns? I'm going to look at it the other way, Whitlock. I'm going to say, you know what? We know what everybody thinks about Lamar Jackson. He's fast. He's athletic. NFL teams, they tend to put black quarterbacks in boxes, whether that's not fair or it's accurate. They do that anyway. And he's saying, no, I'm not doing that. And his mom had him take 59 snaps at the pro day. All of them were under center. I kind of love that, Whitlock. He's saying, you know what? You've seen me take shotgun snaps. I'm going to do it the unconventional way, and you're going to like it or not. And I believe teams are going to love Lamar Jackson. I think he's going first round.
Well, I think definitely as a player they're going to love him. I think the only thing, it's not the media obligations that he's missing out on that's going to cost anything. It's the interviews with the teams. Like when you read about that, is teams are having a hard time getting a hold of him to get him to interview and to come in their building or whatever. I mean, those interviews are important. Once you have them on, at your facility, you can have them 2-3 hours and you can find out more about him. Hey, how's this guy going to fit in our system? Is he a good learner? How can he help us? Or you go to his facility and you give him the same workout. And you take him to dinner, you do all this, but you give him another test for, 2 hours or whatever it is. I mean, those things, those are important. So if he's missing out on those, that's where he gets in trouble. If he's not, I think he'll be just fine because he's an excellent football player. But
do you worry that if he was a receiver, we wouldn't care? But to your point, quarterback, I don't want any mysteries. Safety, I can live with him. But his point is, listen, I don't need to interview a corner for 2 hours. I kind of want to interview a quarterback for 2 hours.
You're about to invest a lot of money. A quarterback is the face of your franchise, and particularly when you come in with a Heisman Trophy, even if you're the backup quarterback, you have a high profile in your franchise. And so if I'm ownership and I'm about to cut a check and I'm about to go in, and if I'm a coach and I'm about to go into partnership with the quarterback, again, it would be almost like marrying your wife without having dated her.
Oh, geez. Hold on. Let's back up.
It's an arranged marriage.
Look at this. Dak Prescott put up insane numbers at Mississippi State, and then he got the DUI right before the draft, right? And everybody, can't take him. He falls in the draft, middle round. He's killing the NFL. Already 2 seasons, he's playing great. Russell Wilson produced at NC State, produced at Wisconsin, but because of the way they view him, oh, he's only 6 feet, I don't know if he's going to make it, he falls in the draft. What does Russell Wilson do? He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson is being put in this box by the media, by NFL teams, and maybe he's not what we think he is. And maybe his body of work matters more, and people are overlooking that.
But again, look, man, they got a profile on everybody. And so they had a profile on Tom Brady that said 6th or 7th round.
Yeah.
And so it ain't just black quarterbacks that they have a profile on.
There was one guy 20 years ago, but yeah.
No, Brett Favre, I think he went in the 2nd round. Drew Brees, where'd he go? There's a profile on everybody. And guys get drafted, when you're 5'11" like Russell Wilson, yeah, that's going to raise some eyebrows. When you're Dak Prescott at Mississippi State, that's going to raise some eyebrows. I don't think Lamar Jackson, to what I've seen so far, I don't think he's being treated unfairly. He wants to be a mystery. That's going to raise eyebrows.
To another top quarterback prospect, Josh Rosen. I love this story. Who just got yet another round of unhelpful public comments from his former coach, Jim Mora. First, Mora said he'd draft Sam Darnold before Rosen. Then he clarified that to say if Rosen focused on football, he'll be good, which prompted Rosen to tweet simply, why? Well, now Mora has clarified his clarification, saying Rosen's a tremendous young man, but adding, quote, if Josh manages his life off the football field and commits to being a great football player, not just when he's at the facility, but when he's away from the facility, he's going to be amazingly successful. Whitlock, do you think Mora likes Rosen?
No, I really don't. I hate to say that, but yeah, I don't think he's doing this kid any favors at all. I think that Jim Mora is making it crystal clear. Look, man, this guy is not all in on football. He wants his agenda coming into pro football isn't how can I be the next Joe Montana? It's how can I be the next spokesperson for the cause that I believe in, and football is a tool to get me there. And so I think Jim Mora had some problems clearly with Josh Rosen at UCLA and is taking some pot shots at the kid that I think is unfair and he should stop. But if I'm an NFL coach or general manager, I'm like, hey, I appreciate this, Jim.
Well, I mean, I love my kids. I can be critical of them. Like, what is Mora saying that is a new discovery? Like, he's not unveiling something that any of us doubt. Like, Jim is saying, listen, if the kid goes all in on football, that's the pre-Mora criticisms. Like you just said a couple minutes ago, everybody's got a profile. I mean, I'm going to dinner tonight with an NFL GM. He knows Josh Rosen's social security number, his birthmark. So Mora is, now you could say he's confirming information that's out. That's certainly plausible. But I've got kids. I'm critical of my kids. I'll talk to my kids. I mean, if Josh Rosen's struggling with this, that worries me.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I just think it's weird that he's using this platform every single day to talk about Josh Rosen. Like, what? I don't get it. Like, I've never heard a head coach say something negative about his first-round quarterback ever. Like, this is strange to me. I don't get it. I mean, maybe he just wants a daily.
Brian Kelly was tough on Kaiser. Geno Smith's college,
a little bit.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Those were second-rounders.
How about
you're right.
what did Dabo Swinney say last year about Deshaun Watson? You pass on him, you're missing out on Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Right.
Tell me this, guys. What has Lincoln Riley said about Baker Mayfield leading up to the draft? Anything? Have you heard a word? Clay Helton on Sam Darnold. Anything? I haven't heard a darn thing.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let's add just a little bit of clear. Lincoln Riley's still the coach at Oklahoma and has to recruit players.
That's
Jim
fair.
Mora's out of coaching.
Yeah. So Jim Mora does have an
that's a
advantage
good
there.
point.
But at the same time, I feel like Mora's being a little vengeful and vindictive, okay? First 3 years at UCLA, they were on the upward trend. Then they signed Josh Rosen, right? Top 5 recruit. Oh, this guy's going to bring us to the BCS. We're going to win a title. And it doesn't work out. Rosen got injured a couple times. And I think Mora, who ended up getting fired, knows, man, my ship has sailed as a head coach in football. I might as well just take it out on this guy who I feel like cost me a little bit when I was at UCLA. I think he's being vengeful.
Could I argue this? You make your money as a quarterback. Actually, you make your money for all players, your second and third contract.
Right.
That's when you get rich. Mora's doing him a favor. If he goes to 5, well, Denver's got real players. That's a real organization. He goes to Arizona, 15. That's a good organization with a good GM, a good owner, and good players. You make your money in this league not going to the Jets at 3, getting the you-know-what kicked out of you, and then you're a backup 4 years later.
My issue with that, though, Colin, is this narrative is now going to follow Josh Rosen heavily in terms of the media, anything that happens with him. Anything that Josh Rosen says, if he wants to cape up on his social justice warrior mission and he says anything, this is what Jim Mora was talking about. This kid's not all in on football. I just think he's created a narrative that's going to be a weight on Josh Rosen's back, regardless of where he's at.
By the way, Brian Kelly talked about Kaiser.
Yep.
He said he wasn't ready. He wasn't wrong. West Virginia's coach questions about Geno. Yep. He wasn't wrong.
Pete Carroll said Mark Sanchez should stay another year. I don't think he was wrong about that.
Well, Sanchez did go to 2 AFC title games. Let's get that out there. Let me also say this, Colin. You say falling in the draft could help him. It's also costing him some money. You go 3 versus you go 15. There's a slight difference in salary. I know his family's pretty well off, but I don't know that he would appreciate that, right? I mean, do you think he would rather let it depend on what he says and how he performs in the interviews versus someone else dictating where you go?
Is it Jim Mora's responsibility to protect players now that he's out of coaching?
No, I think if I was to defend Jim Mora, I think he's launching a hell of a career as a broadcaster.
I agree.
Honestly,
that's what he's trying to do.
That's what he's doing. He's
using. Makes no sense.
Yeah, he's using Rosen to launch his media career. And, I guess more power to him.
You don't think there's anything wrong with that?
No, I think it's wrong.
And this kid never gave up the 70 points a game that their defense did.
You know
what I mean? Hell.
Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why Tom Brady should be outraged by the Patriots' latest move.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why LeBron is absolutely right going after Nick Saban. Protect your business, LeBron. Speak for yourself starts now.
I'm going to clown you.
I may go get a law degree. Can you do that over the course of an afternoon?
Oh, my God. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by former NFL head coach Eric Mangini and Colin's co-host on The Herd, Christine Leahy. Let's start in New England, where reportedly the Patriots have agreed to trade Brandon Cooks and a 4th-round pick to the Rams for a 1st and 6th-round pick. According to the report, Brady wasn't opposed to the trade, but with Cooks departing, New England will be almost unrecognizable this season, having already lost Danny Amendola, Malcolm Butler, Deion Lewis, and Nate Solder. Cowherd, should Brady be concerned about these moves?
I would say yes for this. As you age as a quarterback, generally a GM would want to, Phillip Rivers is getting a little older, Eli. You'd like to give him a little more help. When a guy's in his peak, a little more escapability. He's a great player. Aaron Rodgers can carry a little more. So he lost his left tackle and his best back and his deep threat. And I know some of these but Amendola was the #1 target in the postseason for him. And by the way, he comes back into a season with 32-year-old Julian Edelman off an ACL and Gronk, who has been at times unavailable. If one gets hurt, it's a pretty limited group of offensive weapons.
To me, Cowherd, I think Bill Belichick is continuing with his plan that he had in mind when Garoppolo was supposed to be taking over. And I think he's like reshuffling the deck, doing a rebuild, building for the future as if Garoppolo were still there. I think that's like the decision he made. Okay, you're going to make me trade Garoppolo. I'm still sticking to my plan.
Right.
And if I'm Brady, that would concern me because the moves they're making right now aren't win-now moves, and he's a win-now quarterback.
By the way, I like what they did with the Brandon Cooks move. But to your point, it's a weak receiver draft. You may not have another Brandon Cooks available.
Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned at all. They kept the most important free agent, and that was Josh McDaniels. And then they kept the second most important free agent, and that was Dante Scarnecchia.
What? Whoa, stop.
No, hold on.
Hold it!
The most important. Those were the 2 most important pieces.
It's a players' league, and you just named an assistant coach.
Okay, I named 2 assistant coaches. I named the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach. What Dante Scarnecchia has been able to do year in and year out with that offensive line is impressive. Go look at the names. Do we sit here and talk about this is the highest paid offensive line in the league like we did with Oakland, or this is the best offensive line in the league with 3 number ones like we do in Dallas. No, but they're always good. And keeping Josh, it's the same thing. And you can add free agents. Remember they won the offseason last year? And they started horribly? So you don't know how guys are going to fit in. Chad Johnson, that was a big get. That didn't work out. So whether it's draft picks or free agency, they're going to build their team differently each year. They didn't want to pay what they had to pay for Danny Amendola. They didn't want to pay what they had to pay for Nate Soldier. And they're building a team, and it's all ties in together from a cap perspective.
Nate Soldier is the only one that concerns me. The rest of it, the first 3 Super Bowls for Tom Brady was an entirely different team, so they always make this work. And I agree with you, Josh McDaniels counts, because the question is, should Tom Brady be concerned about the Patriots' offseason? Well, the biggest offseason loss that he would have had was Josh McDaniels, and they made sure to keep him. And Brandon Cooks, his completion percentage to Cooks was 56%. Tom is 66% overall, so that was below his normal.
Let me just say this, though. I watched that Tom versus Time doc.
Yeah.
Tom likes continuity. He's a habit. He's a creature of habit. He likes some control, and he likes certainty. And that's okay. That's what Tom, you watch that thing. He's watching the films. He has the same habit. There's a lot of uncertainty on this offense. I mean, he doesn't have a left tackle. And again, Jeremy Hill may be fine. But I look at this offseason, and to your point, you go into this season having a lot of new faces, don't you?
I'm offended that Eric thinks that coaches are more important than players. I find that offensive. But it doesn't surprise me. He's a former coach, and you come from that New England thing. And Belichick does think he invented football. That's why he thought he could bench Malcolm Butler with no repercussions during the Super Bowl. To me, this offseason, so far, let's see what they do with these picks. Maybe they go out, I wouldn't get Odell, but maybe they go out and get a receiver or somebody in the draft. You got to have players at some point. You just can't give them all away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're playing fantasy football, it's great to go out and get whatever names work and pay them whatever you need to pay them and not worry about chemistry and not worry about continuity and not worry about
you mean what the Rams are doing.
Well, I'm just saying, and not worry about coaching. But every year we talk about, okay, well, this coaching move was really good, or this player developed in this system, or this quarterback needs to be drafted by this team because it has a coach that can develop them. There's transition every year in New England, and since free agency started, which was radically different, they've still found a way to win year in and year out, and this year will be no different.
You know what? I remember when Charlie Weiss left, Patriots fell apart. When Eric Mangini left, the Patriots fell apart.
Now that seems mean.
When Romeo Crennel left, the Patriots fell apart.
8 more years to go to the Super Bowl after I left. But
That's a pretty good point.
I mean, it took a long time, but whatever.
The Ravens just signed RG3, Robert Griffin III, to a 1-year deal to back up Joe Flacco, who frankly doesn't get hurt much. The signing is going to raise some eyebrows from supporters of another quarterback who didn't play last season either, Colin Kaepernick. Last time we saw both these guys in the field, 2016, Cap played a lot more than RG3. His numbers were way, way better, though they both had, kind of terrible records. Whitlock, you surprised RG3 got a job before Kaepernick.
Not remotely. RG3 just signed a 1-year deal for, I'm sure, very little money. RG3 has been humbled. It finally humbled him. And, ego had been a problem for RG3. It no longer is. So he signed probably a very self-aware deal. Colin Kaepernick, because of all of his supporters and because of his delusion, thinks he should be signing some big contract, and probably for more than 1 year. And so he's not going to get a job because he's delusional. RG3, he's out of his delusion. He's getting an opportunity to be a camp arm and probably get cut in Baltimore, but,
Here's what I don't understand about the Cap fans. So what Kaepernick fans will say is, well, he's better than this guy, and he's better than that guy. I think so. Kaepernick's brand this morning is politics. That's what it is. If I think of Kaepernick, I have one piece of video in a year on his Instagram account of him throwing to a random, it was by himself. RG3's brand is mediocre quarterback with injuries. So are we shocked? I know the media tells you that sports and politics are always great together. Well, Seattle just gave Michael Bennett away, and he's still a very disruptive pass rusher. Now, it may work in Golden State, but Cap's brand, yes, Cap is good enough to play in the league. Are we also going to deny that there are some teams that are worried about bringing politics into a locker room?
Guy doesn't love football.
Look, Colin is better than RG3. Colin is better than Johnny Manziel. Colin should be playing football. But to bring Colin in, it's extremely disruptive. And people don't want to talk about distractions and all those other things. Those are real. Those are real. Now, a guy like RG3 or Johnny Manziel, those guys are lottery tickets. The other day, the Mega Millions was $500 million. I bought a lottery ticket. I know the odds are it's not going to hit, but it's the same thing with RG3 and Johnny. You bring him in. You don't pay him very much. It's a 90-man roster during training camp. If it hits, it's great. It's tremendous upside, and you'll do that sometimes with guys coming off major injuries. If it doesn't hit, you haven't lost anything, and they're not really that disruptive to the whole flow of what you're trying to do. Where Colin, unfortunately, even though he's more talented and should be playing, the other things outweigh it.
Yeah. I'm not surprised at all. I think this was really a done deal as soon as the slave owner thing happened, right? With the Ravens, there's no way they're going to take another chance and sign him. And if you have a choice between RG3 and Colin Kaepernick, even if Kaepernick maybe is a little more talented, you're going to choose the guy who has less noise. They've both started out hot. Their careers kind of fizzled out. Yes, one of them has been humbled. And also, as you said, RG3 is on a one-year deal. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be on the team next year. They can cut him, and it's not a big deal. You cut Colin Kaepernick, that's a big story.
No question about it. And your point about Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, who's making this deal, again, Kaepernick's girlfriend basically called him a slave owner over social media. And Kaepernick's got a lawsuit against the NFL for collusion. And so there's just no surprise here. Again.
By the way, Jason, we've seen this. This is all sports, but we'll just stick to football. As you well know, it's not just the most talented people on rosters who's more coachable. By the way, Andy Reid just gave up Marcus Peters, the best pure corner in the NFL. There's a lot of components to being signed. What's your price? Odell Beckham, there's no takers. Because Odell Beckham's like, I'm fragile. I'm a little emotional. I don't want to be the highest paid receiver in the league. This idea that, well, this guy's more talented than that guy. What's his price? How coachable? Is he a distraction? This has always been true in sports, unless you're a superstar where people will overlook a lot of stuff.
And the other thing with Johnny Manziel and RG3, you see them working at football. Johnny's going to that spring league. They're at workouts. They do post things on social media. They're doing interviews. You see that there is a commitment to that, and you haven't seen much from Colin outside of the political aspect. But from a skill perspective, he should play. From a noise perspective, it's going to be hard for anybody to do that.
Everything that's taught in sports, and most acutely in football, is about you're not a victim. And we control everything within this locker room. Don't get caught up in the officiating. Don't get caught up in anything but what we do here in this locker room. And this is where I keep blasting Kaepernick. He's a victim. He's a martyr. You don't want to bring that mentality into your locker room. Oh, that guy's, are we victims? And again, that's not the mentality of winning sports teams or, in my opinion, winning people. Once you start seeing yourself as a victim, guess what? You're going to be a victim.
Welcome back. Christine Leahy's here. Joined now by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to a bizarre feud between LeBron and Nick Saban. It's actually entertaining. On Monday, LeBron's media company, Uninterrupted, sent a letter accusing Bama of copyright infringement after the school released a trailer for their barbershop-themed interview series called Shop Talk, which looked a lot like LeBron's barbershop-themed interview series called The Shop. Well, now the conflict appears to be heating up. Saban and LeBron going back and forth in the media yesterday.
I think LeBron James is a great player. There's been at least 20 barbershop-type things I've seen on TV. I didn't know anybody owned that. I didn't even know he had one. I'm sorry that anybody could be offended by something that we were just having fun with, and I enjoyed it, and we're going to continue to do it.
That's exactly what I would think he would say. But I built Uninterrupted for a reason, for us athletes to have a platform to be able to speak about, whatever we want to talk about. And I respect him as a coach, but I'd be damned if I allow someone to, use our platform or try to, do the same thing we're doing and, and just think it's okay. So the lawyers will figure it out.
Whitlock, whose side are you on?
First things first, or first take is suing first things first. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? LeBron needs to, again, this is what he's a young person, relatively, 34 years old. He should check out the Andy Griffith show. I think Floyd the Barber and Andy Griffith, they used to talk in a barbershop. So again, if we want to start talking about who's stealing stuff from, let's start with Floyd the Barber and Andy Griffith. This has been going on for decades and years. LeBron, I think, foolishly thinks like black people have a lock on barbershop talk, as if white people don't go to barbershops and talk sports. They do. Let me bring some news to him. So this is silly to me. And I couldn't believe the indignation that LeBron expressed his thoughts.
Well, you love The Godfather, right?
Yeah.
You love The Godfather.
Love it.
Well, LeBron has moved into the mogul/Godfather stage. And,
what?
And he is demonstrating, he is fighting for what is his and his land and his peace. And somebody has encroached, trespassed on his peace.
Are you joking right now? I can't tell if
No,
you're
this
being
is happening. Listen, I'm not an attorney. But if this was not LeBron and Saban, it was a guy named Larry and Nick. This is why you have attorneys. This kind of stuff happens every day in America. It's just not Nick Saban and LeBron fighting over it. Like if you had a barber shop in town and they both, you had series, this is why they have attorneys.
Isn't it about time for LeBron to go 0 dark 30? Like, go 0 dark 30. It's about time for the playoffs to start, and you're worried about this? And you made a good point. That's a good reference. But LeBron, I hope that those lawyers are still on speed dial, because MTV is going to be coming for you next. Because in 2006, there was a show called The Shop about a barbershop and conversations that were going inside with Chris Brown and Fabulous. So it was actually done before with the same name, and you didn't even try to switch it up like Alabama did. And because I'm from Chicago, I got my lawyers involved, and they're looking at some copyright infringement because, LeBron, you're trying to steal Michael Jordan's moves, and you're not even doing it as well.
Oh.
Jeez. Look, you guys are going after LeBron heavily.
Today.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Hey, wait. And number 23, where'd that come from?
Oh,
Copyright.
geez, right. He's stolen everything. Guys, I got some bad news for you here. This is much ado about nothing. LeBron is a smart businessman, and I'm not picking a side, and here's why. How do you pump up a fledgling media platform if nobody's really talking about it? Warner Brothers invested $15 million. Come on, Christine, what do you got? You go after Nick Saban. You bring him into it. You now have 48 hours arguing LeBron versus Nick Saban, talking about uninterrupted, something that nobody's discussed for years. I mean, last year with the Draymond barbershop, yeah, they talked about it a little bit, but he is basically getting his name in the media, getting his business name out there in the media, on the shows, and now we're talking about it, and now it's back in the discussion. That's all this is.
Gosh.
There's no real lawyer here getting serious. LeBron's like, let's fire off a letter with our lawyer. Let's get in the media, pump it up.
That's an even bigger point, that it is LeBron getting so involved in this, and the playoffs
But
are about
he's
to start,
not.
and he wants to be compared to Michael Jordan, and yet he's trying to get a copyright infringement thing written to a college.
They have no
Focus on what's
copyright.
He
important.
wants right now to be compared to Kobe Bryant, who just won an Oscar.
You're right.
And now he sees,
Right.
LeBron sees
The
himself.
shop's not winning an Oscar.
No,
I'm
he
sorry.
sees himself as a television mogul. He really does. And again, so much of the media is rigged that he thinks Survivor's Remorse, that show they produce, he thinks it's, Seinfeld or, one of the great television shows, The Sopranos or something, and it's just not. And so, again, I don't blame, he's delusional. He thinks that they invented this barbershop talk thing. You made a Godfather reference. Someone needs to chop off some self-awareness and put it in LeBron's bed.
You guys just love us bagging on LeBron. You really think he's serious about this?
Well, and he said that he did this to give athletes and players an opportunity to say whatever they want, which, by the way, good. I like that. But that's what Alabama's doing, too. So that's not what it's really about.
LeBron, the Ohio State fan,
because if
going
you-
after Nick Saban,
very
Mr.
good
Alabama. Come on, this is just
all
a
of this
feud.
has nothing to do with basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I see the logos here? Can we put these up?
Look, he
It's
could have.
scissors.
Okay, let's see. That's
the shot.
Oh, we had nothing in
Oh.
common.
One's up.
What else
one's
are they
down.
supposed to do? It's a barbershop. Put clippers up
How
there?
about a big head of
Totally
hair?
not good.
Different audiences.
A
Come on.
mustache.
Well, first of all, if I was LeBron, I wouldn't have used those type of clippers because that's not what black
Exactly.
people use.
You use the
Seriously,
clippers.
I would have used
The buzzer.
Yeah, the buzzer.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
again, I listen. I'm just telling you, LeBron. This is what happens. So much money at such a young age, so much adulation. He's delusional on this aspect. There's some things LeBron handles well. Most of them on the basketball court, but he doesn't get the reason why he's getting these television opportunities is because of his basketball play. They're not some kind of genius. They're not David Simon inventing The Wire. They're not Brian Koppelman doing Billions. He's a great basketball player that TV networks and other people are giving platforms because he's a great basketball player.
Wait a sec, LeBron didn't get nominated for an Oscar for Trainwreck? Amy Schumer? He was great in that series.
He was pretty good.
He was funny in that movie. Christine, you got to give him props.
All right, welcome back. We're joined now by ex-NBA champion Eddie House and Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Let's move to Cleveland, where reportedly Tyronn Lue will return to the Cavs sideline tomorrow night after missing 9 games while addressing some ongoing health issues. In his absence, Cleveland has gotten hot, going 8-1, including that statement win last night over the East-leading Raptors. Cowherd, do you expect the Cavs to keep rolling once Ty's back?
I do. The East is a mess. Kyrie Irving's out. John Wall's minutes restrictions. Joel Embiid now is hurt. Listen, man, everybody thinks they're getting it over on LeBron, and he's going to play 82 games. When we write the book on LeBron, we're going to talk about points and assists and rebounds and titles. There better be a chapter really early on durability. The whole league's hurt. The Warriors 4 stars. The Eastern Conference is falling apart. LeBron's going to play all 82 games. Oh, by the way, about 40 minutes a night. Man, I'm telling you, I'm more impressed with his durability than I am everything else, and I'm really impressed with everything else.
Well, I think they better keep rolling because they just went 8-1 without him. And I think last night, the beating they put on Toronto, the best team in the East allegedly, was a final statement by LeBron. This is how I want to play. This is how I'm willing to play. This is how I can get, because I thought LeBron was very good last night.
Yeah.
I thought his teammates were better. And I thought it was because of LeBron's attitude. It was like, damn, this game's really important to LeBron. And so I think this 8-1 stretch with the exclamation point of taking out Toronto in the fashion they did, controlled that game from start to finish, embarrassed me, Kyle Lowry, and DeMar DeRozan. There's some pressure on Tyler.
Whitlock, I think you could coach the Cavs and they'd win the East. I mean, really, it doesn't matter. Same with the Warriors. Steve Kerr's out. Luke Walton coaches them, Mike Brown coaches them, and they roll. I think the Cavs are rolling. To your point, the East is so bad. Cavs are a really good team, and I'm going to give them a shot in the finals. But I'll say this, if they were in the West, I don't think a first-round exit would be out of the question. I wouldn't pick them to lose in the first round. But
that's your takeaway after watching them last night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're good, but they're not.
The West is different.
Yeah, the West is a different animal. I'm not saying they would lose in the first round, but they could.
Some of that last night, Jose Calderon
19 points.
The Raptors up.
Solid.
Again, to me, that was, if you just, LeBron's body language demanded that everybody play well.
I wanted to know if you know something I don't know. You call ex-champion. Did somebody give you a call? Tell you something that I don't know? But they're going to still keep rolling. Like you said, it doesn't matter who's coaching them. This is a veteran team. When you have a veteran team, the coach is not as important because they pretty much police themselves. The coach is important in coming out of timeouts, in making in-game adjustments. That's where the coach is important for a veteran team. For a young team, a coach is important to be over the top of them, making sure they're getting their film in, and you have to do a lot more coaching with a young team. With this team, with LeBron pretty much is a coach on the floor. Jose Calderon, he's playing well because he's a veteran. And Kevin Love coming back, he has energy, he's energized. I think it's not going to bother him at all. I see them walking right through the East. Toronto was the only team that maybe Toronto, Philly maybe, but Philly's beat up. But we've seen what they did to Toronto.
It's amazing. A month ago, they were in crisis stage. The question now is, are they going to breeze through the East? It's pretty remarkable.
And that's why I have to say, this is sparked by this 9-game run without Ty Lue. And I'm just, maybe it was just me, but LeBron didn't look a little bit more determined last night. I thought on the defensive end, the way he celebrated some plays and was like, yeah, this is what I just thought like last night he was putting Toronto, making sure Toronto knows, no, we're going to get y'all in the playoffs, just so you know, reminding them. But also I thought it was just about this style of play. I think there's some pressure on Tyler.
How different you think they're playing than with Ty Lue? I mean, in terms of style. I think they're playing the same way.
I think Kevin Love come in and stretching the floor.
Yeah, in fairness, remember, when T. Lue was there, they were injured. Love came back when T. Lue stopped. So they're a lot healthier now. And remember, Hood and guys sat out for a little bit.
Calderon wasn't in the rotation with Ty Lue, and I know George Hill's hurt now, but Calderon started getting played.
Yeah, he was in and out. They had times where Ty Lue played him.
Well, I'll tell you what, since February 1st, I haven't seen anybody as old as LeBron, as you're 33 years old in his 15th season, play this well. And the last couple weeks, he's been dunking on cats.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, he normally doesn't do that.
Dunks.
Yeah, some of his best dunks of his career. Yeah. Most of the time, he finished with the left-hand layup or he finished with a layup. He putting these boys in the basket now, and he's just on another level. He looks like he is on a mission, to your point. And I think he has a good enough roster around him, solid veterans. Kevin Love can knock down shots. You got Clarkson coming off the bench, Rodney Hood. I think they have a really good team to make a run. Now, will they be able to keep up hitting those three-point shots when it comes to the finals? That's the question.
To Oklahoma City, where Kevin Durant led the Warriors to a win over the Thunder last night. Entertaining game. OKC got a big game out of Russell Westbrook. But even Russ's 44 points, not enough to overcome another terrible night out of Paul George. 5 of 19 from the field. After the game, George was pretty open about his struggles.
Got to figure it out. Something mechanical in my shot. I've had struggles throughout the season in my career of shooting it, but it's all just been not making shots that night. I don't know what it is. It feels funny. Shooting the ball feels funny. So I'm gonna work with our trainers and trying to figure that out. But I don't feel myself shooting the ball right now. It's just my shooting period. I don't know if it's what's stiff, what's tight. Something's going on in my shooting right now.
That's interesting. George's numbers last couple of months been terrible, shooting just 37% from the field. That is really off for him, 29% from three. Timing isn't great for PG, who will be seeking a max deal in the offseason. Whitlock, should teams be leery of signing Paul George now this summer?
I personally would. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this season's going to be written off. They're going to take your line of narrative that it's all on Russell Westbrook. But to me, Paul George isn't a superstar. Star, but not a superstar. Some kind of package, him and LeBron to L.A., and that makes the Lakers. I don't buy it. I don't see. Paul George is shrinking with expectations and the pressure in OKC. The guy, he's talking about something wrong with his shot, not in the first quarter. Let's go look at his first quarter stats all year. He's much better in the first quarter in terms of points, field goal percentage, three-point percentage. He shrinks in the fourth quarter. He's not a superstar.
Well, he's a very, very high-end two-way player. And since you're throwing up these crazy graphics, let me throw up a crazy graphic that here's 8 guys who have left Westbrook, and here's what's happened to their game.
He's going to find a way to hate on Westbrook. I mean, it never fails. You find a way to weasel him in there. Every single
Mr.
time.
House, this is called
Unbelievable.
data. How come Whitlock
Why
gets
did you
data?
that he's about to average a triple-double for the second straight year?
Okay, you want to throw that graphic up? Listen, Paul's a very good two-way player. Now,
he ain't Klay Thompson.
He's no, and I don't think he's Kawhi Leonard if healthy. But he's a very good player, and let me tell you something.
Who shrinks in the fourth quarter. He started out good last night in the first quarter and then just got worse.
Oh, by the way, Kevin Durant, good first half last night, terrible late. I mean, fourth quarter's harder to score because guys play defense in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they do. And as far as the two-way player, to your point, there's not too many in the league. Paul George is one, and that's at a premium. Jimmy Butler's another one.
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard when he's healthy, Klay Thompson, and Giannis. Maybe Joel Embiid.
Now.
Durant is starting to become, but not really like an on-ball defender like that, more so protecting the rim and things like that. But I wouldn't be leery I think he's a very good player. His numbers didn't go down. He's averaging 21 with OKC. He averaged 18 at a career with Indiana. So his numbers went up at OKC. His shot just a little bit down, but I still think that this guy is a very, very unique player. And
superstar?
No, it's not. How many superstars is in the league?
4?
Superstars is different. He's a star, though.
Yeah,
I'm going to break it down for you, Whitlock, because I hear where you're coming from. He's not the #1 player on the championship team.
I agree.
All right, we know that. He's a max player, but he's not your #1 guy on a title team. So if I'm the Lakers, because that's where he wants to go, if I can only get him, if I can't get LeBron, I don't think I'm paying him. I'm not going after him. Because in 4 years, I'd say in 2 years, I think Brandon Ingram may be better. Julius Randle may be better. Kyle Kuzma probably won't be a two-way guy, but offensively he may be as good or better. And who knows with Lonzo. So if he's the only one I can get, I think I'll leave him alone. The problem is to have a shot at LeBron, I think you have to get George. And I don't mind him if I have LeBron. If George is going to be my second guy, I'm cool with him. But as my #1 guy with all that young talent in L.A., I'm with you. I think I'll leave him alone. Now, Philly's going to have cap room. If they can't get LeBron, George, to me, would be a wonderful consolation prize. Can he handle being the third guy? Because that's what he'd be behind
That's what
Simmons
he is, though. He's the third guy. But again, he's #2 right now, and he's failing.
I'm not sure if he'll be #3 offensively in Philly because he can
Simmons
score
will
better. Yeah, Simmons is more of a facilitator.
So that'd be that'd be a great place for him.
But don't you think it's interesting that his worst month ever is with Westbrook? I'm just saying.
Oh, no, listen, I think there's some legitimacy to what you're saying. No, I really do.
Is it his worst month ever? Come on.
I think there's some legitimacy to what you're saying.
But it's a
but
month.
at the end of the day, the guys had all season. OKC had some expectations. He's not meeting them, not anywhere close. And Lord help me, we didn't even get to Carmelo, who literally, I feel like I can wear Carmelo shorts now. He looks so damn thick. It's embarrassing. Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you what Kyrie Irving's injury means for his future in Boston, and it's not good. Speak for Yourself starts now. Great show. Start with some Conor McGregor. All right, hello and welcome. Cowherd is off today, but I'm joined today by UFC Tonight analyst Kenny Florian, NBA champion Eddie House, and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. We'll get into Kyrie Irving in a minute, but first, we have to cover the bizarre scene with Conor McGregor and UFC 223. McGregor, who apparently lost his mind during today's media day for UFC 223, McGregor and his entourage attacked a van carrying other UFC fighters, smashing it with several large objects, including a guardrail, and actually leaving one fighter injured. TMZ has a lot of fascinating video on this. Kenny, this is the craziest thing that I can remember seeing. This is before a sporting event. We've seen Mike Tyson bite Holyfield. Right. We've seen the Malice at the Palace. Those were a boxing event, a basketball game. Before the event, we've seen bizarre things from Tyson at press conferences, but I don't think I've ever seen this where he's injured other fighters. And so I guess my first question is just like, is Conor McGregor mentally okay? I mean that in all seriousness.
I'm not sure. And here's the thing. He wasn't even involved in this fight card. He wasn't even supposed to fight. So first of all, in order to kind of understand this mess, you kind of have to go back to yesterday. Now, Conor's teammate, Artem Lobov, was approached by Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, this is a fighter that is fighting on Saturday night. He's in the main event. He's fighting for the 155-pound title, which is Conor's belt. And apparently, he had some words with Artem Lobov, Conor's friend and training partner. Artem was also supposed to fight on Saturday night. So they had some words. Apparently, Khabib might have slapped him in the face. Something happened. Artem was moved to a different hotel. Now, he went and probably told Conor what happened. Conor decided to show up with his boys. He went to the press conference unannounced, and of course they were looking for Khabib Nurmagomedov and his team. Khabib's team was on that van. He was trying to get at Khabib. While he was throwing things at the bus, he cracked one of the windows. It cut Michael Chiesa in the face. We're not sure if he's going to fight on Saturday night. He was supposed to fight Anthony Pettis in a great fight. So Conor, in one fell swoop, has taken out a possible 3 or 4 fights here. It's ridiculous.
Okay, Conor reached the pinnacle of celebrity fighting Floyd Mayweather and made a ton of money.
Right.
And he's kind of fallen off the face of the earth a little bit since then. Mm-hmm. What is motivating this guy? Is he hostile with Dana White for stripping him of his belt? Is he afraid of Khabib? What's driving him here this kind of crazy?
I don't know. You know, again, he knows how to hype fights, but this is too far. And the problem is like, you know, and I'm probably guilty of this a little bit, of giving Conor the pass and say, hey, it's all right, he's just trying to hype the fight. Well, now he's going way too far. He's injuring other fighters. Rose Namajunas, who's fighting for the title, defending her title on Saturday night, was shaken up by the incident. It's going way too far now. And I don't know what's motivating him. For him to get on a plane from Ireland, he's hanging out in Ireland. I guess he was going to go support his teammate Artem Lobov in this fight, but to go there and pick a fight, and also, what is he doing? What is injuring a van? That's not Khabib's going to do. What is that going to do?
I have a couple more questions before we bring in Eddie and Jason. UFC needs a television deal. They're looking for a television deal, a TV partner, and I'm wondering if these type of annex enhance the brand or will provoke caution. Is this a bridge too far?
This is a black eye for the sport, in my opinion. I don't think this is a good thing. It's one thing to hype a fight, but when you're going towards this kind of negativity and people are getting injured and you're ruining, people's property and cars and vans, it's too much. It's too much. And, you know, what did Jim Carrey said? I wish that everybody could get rich and famous so they could realize that's not the answer. And Conor now, with having $100 million in the bank, it's going too far now. Now he feels like he's invincible. He's gotten away with a lot of other things that, you know, certainly not at this level, but it builds up to that. And when you feel that you're invincible and you're not getting in trouble, you take it too far, and he took it too far.
Jason McIntyre, I'm going to start with you. You're an expert on social media, Twitter, that world. How do you think this plays for Conor McGregor's brand? Is this good for it, or is it bad for it?
Well, I mean, Kenny used black eye. You know, that's the phrase you used, and I actually think this is great. Right now you're seeing the reaction, 50% of the people say Conor's got to go to jail for this. Get the arrest warrant out. And guess what the other 50% of the people are saying? Man, I can't wait to see that guy get in the ring, man. He's crazy. What's he going to do next? This is the kind of thing that bad boys do in sports, right? We've seen it with Floyd Mayweather outside of the ring. We've seen Mike Tyson, as you referenced, outside the ring. These guys put on a show. They get people to watch whatever they're doing. And I know it looks bad right now, and he's being pegged as a crazy person. And, yes, there's the TV deal. But everything for me coming off this is, man, I can't wait to see what Conor McGregor's going to do next.
I hear that, but even with the Mike Tyson, I don't think his craziness, his bizarre behavior, I don't think that made him more popular at the box office. I think it made him more infamous, but Tyson had a chance to be a guy to return boxing more to the mainstream where Muhammad Ali had it, and he blew it with the crazy, bizarre behavior. Eddie, I want to ask you, I analogize this to the Malice in the Palace and to Mike Tyson biting Holyfield's ear. This is, Dana White has called it criminal, disgusting, and it makes me sick. Is it a fair analogy to the Malice in the Palace, or is this worse?
I think it's worse. The reason why I say it's worse, because the Malice at the Palace was guys were in the heat of competition. They were playing. He gets hit, being in a place where he's supposed to be protected by a water bottle or whatever it was, the cup of water, and somebody reacted to that, felt like his well-being was threatened, to where this guy, he wasn't even a part of this. You know, these guys are on the bus on their way out, and he's coming throwing whatever that was, a barrier, chairs, breaking windows, cutting guys. It's totally out of bounds to me. I think he was way out of pocket for showing up like that and doing. And the way he did it, he bum rushed. Basically bum rushed the bus. They were, 15 people going after one guy. So, again, I don't like the way that it happened. But this is what Conor McGregor does. Yeah. This is how he tries to hype up fights. But I think he's taking it too far, because you hype up fights. Mike Tyson did it, and so does Floyd Mayweather. They know how to hype fights. Mike Tyson never hurt anybody in a press conference. Floyd Mayweather never hurt anybody in a press conference. This wasn't even this was after the press conference. Guys were on the bus, and somebody ended up getting injured. That's where I think you take it too far.
Yeah, he wasn't involved in the fight card. And the other thing is you get a guy in Conor McGregor who hasn't been in the octagon for over 500 days. So it's not like he's super popular right now. The fans are already very frustrated because he didn't defend his 145-pound belt. He didn't defend his 155-pound belt. So fans are already they've had it with Conor, and now he's doing this.
Listen, I think, and I want to be careful because, I mean, this just happened an hour or two ago, and we're talking about it in the moment. But he has really burnished a brand as a thug. I mean, this is 20 guys, or I don't know, a dozen to 20 guys showing up to have a fight. Yeah. And this is the ultimate thuggish behavior. And, I mean, that word gets tossed around from time to time. And so it's like he's trying to, and I know Floyd Mayweather has his baggage and domestic violence. I don't want to diminish it. But it's almost like Conor's in a competition to be the ultimate bad guy in combat sports of any kind. And this may have...
But he's from the rough streets, I believe, Ireland. Kenny, you can back me up on this. He comes from a very blue-collar background where he almost fought his way out of the ghetto, pretty much, in Ireland. And this is not that out of character for him. Now, there was an incident at Bellator 187. I was informed that Conor went in the ring and roughed it up. And then there was a UFC media day where he was throwing media bottles. So this kind of is on character for him. We just haven't seen it in a while. And, you know, maybe we thought, oh, he made $100 million off Floyd. He's going to clean up his act. I don't think so at all.
What should the UFC do?
Geez, I don't know. Again, we talked about John Jones and his troubles, and this is right at that level. I mean, he's hurting people here. He wasn't even involved in this card. Dana obviously not happy. I don't know. One thing's for sure is some of the fighters on the card, they might sue Conor. Again, you get cut in the face, or if you're not able to fight now, this is not good. And for a guy who's got $100 million in the bank, a great way to lose that $100 million is getting in a court.
What should the UFC do?
I think they should strip him of his title, and
That's been happening.
And they should give him a suspension and some kind of fine.
A year suspension?
I'm not sure. I mean, he hasn't fought in 2 years, correct? And I think really, you know, when some people are kind of fearful of somebody else, they do irrational things. And I think that might have something to do with him fighting Khabib, because he kind of been ducking Khabib for the last couple years now. So I think they should suspend him. I don't know for how long.
Jason, it's a can't live with him, can't live without him situation. He's the biggest star in the UFC.
Without question. I mean, I know this is going to sound bad. Don't come after me for it. But at this point, when you've got a big, high-profile incident like this, you got to capitalize on it. I would try to get Conor in the ring in the next few months, see if that's possible. Kenny, I don't know if the UFC is going to want to do that, but is that not the right move from a PR perspective for UFC?
There's an event planned for Russia. Obviously, Khabib Nurmagomedov, if he wins, that would be the fight to make, him versus Conor. You could build up to this Rocky IV kind of event. It's ridiculous. We already have the B-roll to play leading up to the fight. Yeah. This is the hype. But again, it's like, well, now you're basically saying, well, Conor, that's okay to do that. That's fine. But he's the biggest name in the sport. What do you do?
They need him right now.
I think Dana has boxed himself into a corner with his statements. Criminal, disgusting, and it makes me sick. So if he is to fight Khabib, I don't think it'll be in the next calendar year. I think it's going to have to be after. Criminal, disgusting, and makes me sick. He's going to be suspended for a year. Khabib may happen a year from now, but not anytime soon.
Hey guys, Jason McIntyre here. Before the show moves along, I wanted to tell you that support for the Speak for Yourself podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They understand that home plays a big role in your life and family. That's why they created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th, with Rocket Mortgage you get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. It's convenient. Our trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button. And in addition to getting a real mortgage approval in minutes, you can even adjust the rate and length of your loan in real time to make sure you're getting the right solution for you. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply. Understand fully. Mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/speak. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
All right, welcome back. Jason McIntyre and Eddie House are back, and we're joined now by longtime NBA vet Odin Polynice. Let's move to Boston, where the Celtics just announced that Kyrie Irving is out for the rest of the season, including the playoffs, after undergoing surgery to remove a tension wire in his knee a few weeks ago. The team initially expected Kyrie to be back in time for the playoffs, but he will now undergo another procedure to remove 2 screws from his knee and will take 4 to 5 months to recover. this is a bad sign. They had Isaiah Thomas and injuries wrecked him. Gordon Hayward comes, injuries wrecked him. Kyrie Irving, this has knee problems now, had health issues at Duke. I am now of the opinion, Kyrie Irving's a bit fragile. He may not have the body to reach the greatness of his talent. I'm of the opinion, I don't think things are going to work out. This split from LeBron and moving to Boston, I don't think it's going to work out for Kyrie Irving. Eddie, what's your reaction to this news?
Well, the rest of the season is pretty much a wrap for them. You know, started off with Gordon Hayward, his injury, Kyrie going down. Now, I don't think they could find that punch. You know, everybody was thinking maybe Gordon Hayward's going to come back, but Brad Stevens nixed that. Now with Kyrie down, I mean, who's that dynamic scorer? Who's the guy that you go to? Who's
Boston's
the closer?
dead.
Yeah, Boston's hurt for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But as far as Kyrie in Boston, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think he'll heal up.
He's not fragile.
I mean, he's been hurt. It's been a lot of people that's been hurt. But, I mean, this one right here was due to the injury he had before and the screws getting infected. So that has nothing to do with him being fragile. He didn't re-injure something that somebody put inside of his body. It started going wrong. So more information on how does that go wrong. 4 to 5 months on recovery, that's a long period of time. So it's a little serious to me.
Boston is done, like you said. I see them get knocked out in the first round. They just don't have enough firepower. And we kind of saw that after Hayward got hurt. But now the reason this is bad is because they expected him to come back. So their mindset was like, well, we'll get him for the playoffs. And now we see that he's not going to be back for the playoffs. And those guys, I mean, Rozier's done a nice job subbing in for him, but I just don't see him going past the first.
What do you think about Kyrie's future?
Kyrie's future is in limbo right now because of this injury. And I kind of have to agree with you a little bit. I think there is some fragileness to him because we've been seeing this over the years. And this is not the first time. So,
and at Duke.
Exactly. And so I do see, you know, the more it happens, the more I'm going to say, hey, you have a fragile body.
McIntyre, hold on. Tell me something
his body's
sexier.
rejected something for a reason.
Tell me something sexier than Boston's done. I think we all know that.
You guys big karma believers? You remember how you've been bagging on how Danny Ainge treated Isaiah Thomas? Oh, look what's happening to Boston.
Is that what it is?
We lose Gordon Hayward on the first night, and now we lose Kyrie on the cusp of the playoffs. And let me take it a step further. Do you know how Kyrie left Cleveland? He reportedly told the Cavs, if you don't trade me, I'm gonna pretend like I need surgery and I'm gonna just sit out the whole season. Oh. Well, now he needs surgery and he's out. So
it was karma himself.
Both Kyrie and the Celtics. So it's a nice little marriage. I actually think this is a blessing in disguise for the young Boston players. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 20 and 21 years old. They're going to be leading this team in the playoffs. That is a great first step for next year when they add Hayward and Kyrie healthy. I think they'll go to the finals next year.
I like the comment you just said.
Thank you.
Next year.
For next year.
I was just getting ready to hit on that. That's going to give them some invaluable playoff experience. Even though if they lose in the first round, just to be in the playoffs and see the level is different. It's not the same as regular season. And Jason Tatum's going to be a hell of a player when he gets off. And so is Jaylen Brown right now, is emerging as one of these really big-time players.
Let me just I want to add something, just a little perspective in terms of, it's going to be great for Boston. These young guys are going to get experience. Kyrie Irving has 1 year left on his contract. Yes. And so now everything goes into next year, and what is his future in Boston? Did this Boston thing work? Again, they'll have Gordon Hayward back next year, and so maybe they'll do something together. But everything now boils down to one season for Kyrie Irving in Boston. The four-leaf clover organization seems to have run out of luck.
Hey, watch what you're saying.
He's going to be all right.
I should have worn my ring, man.
You know what? Kyrie's going to be all right because he's going to be a free agent, you know. And so 9 times out of 10 players tend to some way, somehow figure out a way to have their best season right around free agency.
How about this one, Jason? Okay? If Kyrie Irving doesn't want to get on board and sign a long-term deal with Boston, guess what?
There's going to be a line.
Giannis may be unhappy in Milwaukee. Anthony Davis in New Orleans. They're not going anywhere. We will trade Kyrie, whatever you want. Give us a superstar. I mean, superstars are holding
people lined up for him.
Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio. We don't know what's going to happen here in the next month. He might just say, get me out of here.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jason McIntyre is back with us. We're now joined by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez and longtime NFL head coach Eric Mangini. All right, let's move to Baltimore. A day after the Ravens announced they're signing Robert Griffin III to be a backup quarterback, and on the very day, Colin Kaepernick's lawyers deposed Ravens general manager Ozzie Newsome and head coach John Harbaugh in Cap's NFL collusion case. The Kaepernick martyr narrative seemingly will not go away. Writing for ESPN's The Undefeated, Jason Reed opined today that RG3 signing by the Ravens is proof the NFL is forever done with Kaepernick. At this point, the NFL is trolling us all, Reed whined. That's the only way to explain the fact that Robert Griffin III has returned to the league while Colin Kaepernick is still banging on the door. The NFL might as well hang a sign at its New York offices that reads, "Kaepernick is never getting back in." Let me offer a different explanation from trolling. Cap can't get a job because the NFL is a TV show with a defined script. Yes, the NFL is a television show, no different from The Walking Dead, The Sopranos, Empire, or Breaking Bad. They play the games to draw television viewers and entice advertisers. That is the point of modern-day football, TV ratings. Cap isn't the first, last, or even the most high-profile actor kicked off a TV show for conduct detrimental to ratings. Do you remember Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men? Sheen was an enormous movie star, playing major roles in blockbuster movies such as Platoon, Wall Street, Major League. He moved to the small screen and emerged as the star of CBS's ratings juggernaut, 2.5 Men. Sheen was paid nearly $2 million per episode for his role. He then decided to start using his platform to speak out against the show's creator, Chuck Lorre, and Warner Brothers fired him. The major TV networks have never signed Sheen to work again. He got demoted to the minor leagues, cable TV. This is what happens in television when you decide to go rogue and off script. You get bounced. Kaepernick's protest was not and is not part of football's script. Legendary former commissioner Pete Rozelle packaged the league as uber patriotic and respectful of American traditions. That's one of the main reasons football surpassed baseball as America's pastime. The entire narrative that Kaepernick has a right to play in the NFL because he's talented is absurd. Football people have preached for years, without objection, that playing in the NFL is not a privilege, is not a right, it's a privilege.
To be involved in the National Football League is an honor and a privilege. It's not a right. We should respect it as such.
It's a beautiful game that we play. It's a privilege to play the game.
To play in the NFL is an honor, a privilege, not simply a right.
All sorts of NFL players forfeit that right to play in the NFL with their actions. When it's Ray Rice or Greg Hardy or some drug abuser, hardly anyone objects. I get it. Rice and Hardy took actions that are universally and justifiably seen as reprehensible. But what it establishes is a precedent that you don't always have the right to participate in the NFL's TV show. Kaepernick foolishly undermined his privilege. I wish everyone would quit whining about it. His football plight is more Charlie Sheen than Muhammad Ali. No way in hell I'm wrong. Tony Gonzalez, Eric Mangini, Jason McIntyre. I'm so sick of people whining about Kaepernick. It's a privilege, not a right. He's not Muhammad Ali.
I think that comparing him to Charlie Sheen isn't fair either. Charlie Sheen's situation, there were some substance abuse issues there.
That's not why he got fired.
It was self-destructive behavior. Cap took a stand for something that he believed in, and it went to places that I'm sure even he didn't expect. Now, what I'll say about privilege versus right, it comes down to talent. And does Cap have enough talent to play in the NFL? Yes. Does he have enough talent at this point where teams say it offsets the distraction that comes with signing him? To me, that's more the issue right now, and that's what teams are looking at. I think if Antonio Brown took that same stand, he'd have no problem still playing wide receiver this year and next year and last year. It's just the cost-benefit analysis.
See, I like what Eric said, but I keep coming back to the TV examples that you used. I think of those shows, Sopranos. What made that popular? Tony Soprano was very polarizing, right? Your favorite show, The Wire. Stringer Bell was very polarizing. Hold on. Here, you know where I'm going. Colin Kaepernick, by your measure, is extremely polarizing. People would love and hate him. Wouldn't the NFL, in your example, want Colin Kaepernick for his polarizing nature?
David Chase wrote The Sopranos.
Yes.
And in the script, he said, I want Tony Soprano, James Gandolfini, to be polarizing.
Right.
When Pete Rozelle, Roger Goodell, when they write the script for the NFL, they don't say, hey, Tony Gonzalez, I want you to be polarizing. They don't do that. They want you to be the opposite. They want you to be like everybody wants to be around you. They want it to be an expression of all the positive American ideals. They want it to be uber patriotic. They don't want polarizing. That doesn't work for them.
What about Tom Brady? Is he not polarizing? What about Odell Beckham? I mean, on and on down the list. I just think, like, I would agree mostly with Eric on why he's not in the league. He's not going to want to hold a clipboard and be a backup or a third stringer and make $1 million a year like RG3. That's just not going to work for him. But I think the Charlie Sheen stuff is harsh. That is really critical.
You know what? When you're talking about that, the rap music, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, okay? And if you're affecting my bottom line, anybody who's running a business, a corporation is going to say, get out of here. You're talking about acting. That's helping the bottom line. It's creating, enjoyability when you watch a show like that, like The Sopranos. You want to see that. But in the NFL, that has no place. It's not going to work. And if people are out there writing letters and people are saying we're not going to show up to your sporting event, guess what the owners are going to do? They're going to say, okay, I'll see you later. And I doubt that even if you have that. Greg Hardy, I believe, could be, when he came back, he still was a very, very good defensive end. And I hear what you're saying there, and I've said that too. Talent trumps morals. I believe that too. But there's certain things that the American public or ownership is not going to put up with. I don't care if you're getting 15, 20 sacks like Greg Hardy probably could. He's still not going to get an opportunity to get back in the league. I don't see it happening.
The most compelling thing is winning. And if that person helps you win, they're going to be there. They're going to be in the league. They're going to be on a team. Think about the Raiders for years and years with the outlaw team. We're known for not being against the norm, being against what the league stood for, and people loved the Raiders. People either loved them or they loved to hate the Raiders, and that was compelling too. There's a place for all different people, but at the end of the day, does that ability offset the distraction that comes with the player?
Look, my point, Jason, is it's a television show about great competition. And I think a lot of times people lose sight of the entire fact that that's what people are tuning in to see, great competition. And so once anything distracts from talking about the great competition, that's when people are like, this ain't good for football. This isn't good for our television show. And so when the conversation is moved away from great competition, you've made yourself vulnerable, and you better damn well be Lawrence Taylor, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning rolled into one, and Kaepernick's not that.
And that's what you said, Coach. I mean, he's not good enough to be this type of distraction. I mean, he's not even a starter. The coach, as you've been a head coach, you don't want any type of distraction going on in that locker room for any type of reason. It's enough pressure as it is to go out there and just win a football game on any given Sunday. To deal with someone like Colin Kaepernick, I'm sorry, I don't think he will never play in the NFL again.
And when you look at the reaction that Baltimore had with just the idea of bringing him in and how much of a storm that raised, it's difficult. It's difficult to say we're going to bring him in as a backup or we're going to bring him in to compete, because all you're going to do every single day is deal with that issue as opposed to push the team forward in the direction you want to go.
Look, RG3 just got signed by the Baltimore Ravens. They announced that yesterday. They're being deposed today about Kaepernick. And to me, RG3, what he's done, he's humbled himself. He signed a one-year deal for virtually no money. He's all in on football. Colin Kaepernick, I don't know if we have this, we may not, but he put out an Instagram post about Eric Reid and basically how we need to watch Eric Reid's free agency and see how the NFL deals with that, because Eric Reid is fighting against systematic oppression. And I was like, this dude does not want to be in the NFL.
Thank you.
Because again, he's that's what I'm talking about. We're not talking about great competition. Again, we're talking about Eric Reid, systematic oppression. And again, there's a place for that. And if you want to do that, you have to be willing to live with the repercussions of that. If you want to be off the TV script, you're going to live Kaepernick's life. if you want to get back on the TV script like RG3 has done, you sit out a year and you get yourself back in.
Without question, this is much better RG3 as a role model than Johnny Manziel was last week, which you pushed. But I do want to say this about RG3. He was humbled. Okay, this guy was injured. He fought with his coaches. He got coaches fired. He got divorced from his wife. He'd been out of football for a year. He's now getting his life back together, which is paramount to becoming a good quarterback. And he's got a potentially good spot in Baltimore. Listen, we've seen Joe Flacco the last couple of years. He has not been very good. Ozzie Newsome is a GM on his way out. RG3 could thrive in Baltimore. I don't know. I mean, it seems possible. He's only 28, whereas Kaepernick is 30. He's going to be 31 in November. And as you said, he doesn't seem to love football and maybe need football. Remember, RG3, number 2 overall pick, he only got that first contract. Colin Kaepernick's made a significantly, I believe, $20 more million than RG3 in his career. So Kaepernick may not need it, may want to do the, the stuff on the side, and RG3 needs football, needs money.
Yeah, I like RG3. I like him going back to the Baltimore. I like him just getting back in the NFL because he's only 28. He still has a bright future as far as I'm concerned, so I'm happy for him. And he's put it out there. He has let everybody know he's trying to get back into the NFL. He's saying all the right things, getting back to Colin Kaepernick. Tell me right now, he could get an interview on 60 Minutes. I mean, this guy is so polarizing. Why don't you get out in front of somebody and say what is in your plans? You want to play in the NFL? Do an intervieue.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. He doesn't do anything. That's what I'm saying. I agree with what you're saying, Jason. Yeah. He does not want to get back in the NFL. And if he does, he is actually, it's stupid the way he's going about it. He needs to have better planning if he wants to get back in the NFL.
If Aaron Rodgers put out that tweet, if Antonio Brown put out that tweet, if Tom Brady put out that tweet, if Ezekiel Elliott put out that tweet, they're still playing football this year. They're still contributing to their team. They're still getting paid what they're getting paid. It just comes down to cost benefit. And in Colin's position right now, if he does want to get in, he's probably going to have to take a much different stance. But even if he takes a different stance, I don't know if that's going to change anything for the first team that's willing to bring him in. And with a guy like RG3, all he is, he's a lottery ticket. That's it. You have a 90-man roster. You pay him $1 million, which is insignificant in a cap that's $178 million. If he hits, he hits. If he doesn't,
Eric,
nobody cares.
I agree with that point, but I was a little bit surprised. John Harbaugh, they brought him in to be the backup, to be the number 2 guy. So he's not just a camp arm trying to earn his way onto the team. Harbaugh kind of indicated he's the backup quarterback. And again, I think if that's all it ever amounts to is RG3 resuscitating his career so he can be a backup quarterback, I think that's a good thing.
No, I think it's a great thing, too. And I think the situation with Johnny Manziel, where he's going to the spring league, he's going to workouts, he's trying to show that he's changed, even though he's gotten in his own way the last few days, to me, that's a good thing, too. And you take a chance on that guy because it doesn't really cost you anything. And if it hits, it hits big.
All right, welcome back. Eddie House, Odin Polynice, and Jason McIntyre back. Let's move to Lonzo Ball, whose rookie year might be coming to an early end, with the Lakers unsure that Lonzo will play again after suffering a bruised knee last week against the Mavericks. Despite all the hype from LeVar, Lonzo has had a very up-and-down year, ranking just 33rd among rookies in shooting percentage, 12th in points, while he's been second in assists and 4th in rebounds. I think he's played 52 games this year. Okay. It's an 82-game season. He's 19, 20 years old. He's first year out. He misses 30 games. He shoots about like I do from 3. I just don't see it. I don't see. Magic started the year off. We're gonna put his number up in the rafters. LeVar saying he's better than Jason Kidd and Magic Johnson, and Bob Cousy rolled into one. Cowherd started the year off with the Lonzo meter. Lonzo's bringing LeBron to L.A. Lonzo's overhyped and overrated and is going to be a nice NBA role player, not a superstar.
It's not too many superstars. We talked about this yesterday. It's not too many superstars.
Not a star.
I wouldn't go that far yet. Now, I'm going to answer the question, was this season a disappointment? I'm going to say yes and no. Reason why I'm gonna say no is this. No, I'm gonna give you
ride the fence.
No, but hey, you can say I'm gonna ride the fence, but I'm gonna give you some actual factuals. So you know, get your ears ready to listen. You know, so if you're second in assists, he came into the league number 1 as a guy who is a facilitator that's gonna make everybody around him better. He's second in assists.
52 games.
Yeah, in 52 games. And I'm gonna get to the other point of that. Oscar Robertson, Magic Johnson, and Ben Simmons, the only other 3 guys that average 10, 7, and 7, basically. That's not a disappointment. I'm taking that for my rookie every time. Now, where the disappointment comes into play is 36% from the field, 45% from the free throw line. But those things can be fixed.
Yes.
That can be fixed. So that's the disappointment part. And only playing in 52 games and in only 45 fourth quarters. That's a disappointment to me. But these other numbers, that doesn't spell disappointment.
You keep talking, it can be fixed.
It can be
This is the first time in the history of basketball. We saw George Gervin make history with the finger roll. Now we have the fingers crossed from Lonzo. And you think that can be fixed. The finger cross. Shoot and cross your fingers. That's going to get fixed.
A guy that they always compare him to, right, is Jason Kidd, right? They say, oh, he looks like it might be Jay. I compare him to Jason Kidd as being able to pass and see the pass before it happens, but not that he doesn't have that motor. That's the other disappointing part. But Jason Kidd came into it, they called him acing because he didn't have a J. Did he get his jumper together?
It wasn't a
His
hope
mechanics were way better than Lonzo. Come on now. Unless he has your shooting form, it's pretty much going to stay the same. This across the body motion is horrible. But Jason Kidd, that's a good comparison. Jason Kidd, again, like I said, had the right mechanics. The reason why I'm disappointed with him is the fact that he was overhyped. All this stuff, like you said, Magic, proclaimed the next great guy. His dad, who shall remain nameless still, he's better than everybody. I'll take, him over Steph Curry right now. Come on, stop it. He has some nice numbers, but the one thing I'm most concerned about is the injuries. Throughout this whole season, there's been all these low negatives. You're 19 years old. What's going on with these young kids?
Was Dad's his trainer?
They can't
you see
hold
their
up
backyard
anymore.
workouts?
They just can't. They can't hold up anymore.
You see the backyard workouts?
He's murdered. He got his shot. He's shooting his shot right now. He's not playing, man. Killing me.
First of all, let me go through the last couple number 2 picks in the draft, okay? No, Lonzo has not been a disappointment. Last year, Brandon Ingram, number 2 pick. How's he doing? He's doing all right. I think he's done well. D'Angelo Russell, he's been traded already, okay? Number 2 pick before that, Jabari Parker. How's he doing? Injured, probably not going to get a next deal. How about before that, Victor Oladipo, his 3rd team in 5 years. It took Victor Oladipo 5 years to go from being the number 2 pick to being an all-NBA player. It's going to take some time. We've just got to let it marinate. I'm working on my patience in 2018. That's my number 1.
But my argument with that would be that Oladipo is very athletic, and again, his mechanics translate to where he can perform.
Lonzo Ball,
and that's the problem.
He's blocking some shots. He's
None
making
of those
steals.
guys were hyped.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather have took Markelle Fultz?
No.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
It was one of them.
That doesn't mean Lonzo lived up to the hype.
I mean, 10-7-7.
I would have rather taken Donovan Mitchell. I would have rather taken Donovan Mitchell.
You wouldn't have taken Donovan Mitchell.
You know what I would have rather.
You know what's setting up here, right? Okay, they're going to get LeBron and Paul George. The Lakers are going to be great, and you're going to say, "Well, Lonzo's not great. He's got great teams."
Are y'all
so
still
Lonzo
on this
officially
LeBron
cannot win. It's a wrap.
We got it. The
The
76ers, who beat the Pistons last night, notching their 12th straight win and moving into a tie with LeBron and the Cavaliers for 3rd in the East. Philly might end up playing LeBron in the playoffs this year, but they're also rumored to be in the running to sign him this offseason. And at least one NBA star, C.J. McCollum, thinks it's a real possibility.
He's always calculated about his decision-making process, going back to, his youth. Ben is his young guy. Ben's a member of Clutch Sports, so that also could play a factor. Philly's in the Eastern Conference. LeBron has been fond of the Eastern Conference throughout his career on what seems to be his easy pass to the finals. I think it's a bigger possibility than people think.
All right. After watching LeBron take apart the Toronto Raptors the other night, I'm done doubting LeBron James in the Eastern Conference. I just won't do it anymore. And so that leads me to the opinion that the Philadelphia 76ers have a far better chance of signing LeBron James this offseason than beating LeBron James in this postseason. No matter how Philly's playing nice, but I'm just not going to doubt LeBron James. Better chance of him going to Philadelphia than losing to Philadelphia.
I totally agree with you. There's no chance that Philly is going to beat them. And I think it's setting up for them to meet in the conference finals possibly. You think LeBron's going to lose in the conference finals to Philadelphia? There's no possible way that he's going to do that. You've seen how he's been playing. He's on a mission. He's looking to prove everybody wrong. People been doubting him. You say you won't doubt him no more. I'm not doubting him. He's playing at another level. He's playing at the highest level I've ever seen somebody play with my own eyes and one of my former teammates. This guy is unbelievable right now. And I don't think he'll sign with him either. That's a bit of a stretch. I'm going to tell you why. He would get more credit if he stays with Cleveland. Look, when he went to Miami, what happened? They was like, oh, you had to go join up with them. The same thing will happen with him now. They'll say, oh, you had to go join them young boys because you're getting a little older, a little longer in the tooth. No, he'll get more credit if he stays in Cleveland. I still think he'll
get
run
more
through the
titles in Philadelphia.
I think he's actually more likely to lose to the Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Think about this for a second, Eddie. When they take the floor, Cavs and 76ers, tell me the three best players in the series. Sixers got two of them.
I got LeBron.
That's right. No, you got LeBron one. But then you got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And as Eddie said, that was one of the best points you've ever made on the show, Eddie. He don't go to teams that are on the up and up, okay? The Houston Rockets, he's not going there, okay? They're a 60-win team. He went back to Cleveland, which was a dumpster fire. He went to Miami, which was like a 37-win team. Took him to the title. LeBron doesn't ride anybody's coattails. He's a leader. That's why he's going to the Lakers.
He's staying in Cleveland, man. I'm telling you. He's definitely not coming to the Lakers. CJ made a great point. He's not coming to the Wild Wild West. I'll tell you that right now, because he'll end up being 7th,
What
8th.
about Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, in regards to the question that was posed, Philadelphia has a better chance of beating the Cavaliers than him signing with them. He's not signing with them either because he and Ben Simmons play the same position. So you're going to trade him for Ben Simmons, and so that takes him out of the equation right there.
No, I think and Ben Simmons, they're both very similar type players. I don't think Ben Simmons can play as good off the ball as LeBron can play off the ball. So they're both kind of dominant, you know what I mean? Dominant basketball.
By the way, Ben Simmons' rookie numbers.
Similar type players.
15, 8, and 8. Magic Johnson was 18, 7, and 7. Ben Simmons is having a Magic Johnson-type rookie season. That's how good he's been. Him against LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals, that's a show.
Y'all just made the greatest point. Ben Simmons and LeBron. And how does that even make sense? Why is this? I don't even understand how, once I hear that and really think about it, marinate on it, I don't even know how we got to the discussion, because it's been pervasive that there's a chance of LeBron going to Philadelphia. Everybody in the sports media has been talking about that. And now, Eddie, you just made me go, or Older, it's not even a possibility.
No, not at all. If you think about it, watch how Ben Simmons plays, right? Have you ever seen him just get somebody kick the ball to him catch and shoot? No, he's always coming off the pick and roll. You could game plan for that. You could push up on the screen and go under it.
Not to cut you off, last night he had a wide open layup. He passed it out to the three-pointer.
That was great.
He's a
By the way,
great
you put
vision.
Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, and LeBron on the floor, that's 0 3-point shooting. You can't do that in the modern NBA. It just can't happen.
I wouldn't say 0, but it is.
None.
All right, welcome back. Jason McIntyre is back for last call. Let's start at Augusta National, where Tiger Woods shot a 1-over in his first round at the Masters in 3 years. McIntyre, after we saw Tiger today, are you confident in him this weekend?
Yeah, I'm confident he's going to miss the cut, Jason. No. I got a bad feeling about this. Honestly, listen, the pressure, the spotlight, this is a guy who has not made the cut at a major in seemingly forever. I think I was like a toddler maybe when that happened. Like, Jason, I've seen nothing from Tiger today that inspires confidence. 2 weeks ago, yes, but today, you see anything?
Yeah, I saw quite a bit. I mean, look, the lead, he's only 4 or 5 strokes off the lead right now. He's certainly...
Dude, he was the betting favorite coming in.
I get it, but again, it's the first round of the Masters. He's 1 over. The course is playing hard. He'll be perfect. He's perfectly fine right now in terms of having a chance to make the cut and even still be competitive and have a chance to win.
I've already teed up the choking emoji that I'm going to text you when Tiger misses the cut.
The main reason you're wrong is, seriously, he parred all 4 of the par 5s. That will not happen again tomorrow. That will not happen on Friday. He will score on the par 5s, and he'll be just fine. If he had just made 2 birdies on it, he'd be perfectly fine. We talk about him being 1 under. He was fine. He went into the water, I think, on 12. That was a big error. Other than that, it's not. You're acting like he did what Sergio Garcia did.
He did not have a
Sergio went into the water 5 times on the same hole. He went full 10
Are
cup.
you going to be wearing red tomorrow in honor of Tiger?
No, I'll wait till Sunday to wear red. I'll wait till Sunday.
Might be too
All right.
late.
To baseball, where Angels rookie Shohei Ohtani homered for the second straight game yesterday. The two-way phenom is now hitting .429 and also won his first start as a pitcher on Sunday. McIntyre, do you think Ohtani is headed to Cooperstown?
Does he need tires or something? Is that the Cooperstown Tire Store?
Oh.
Come on, Hall of Fame after 1 week of baseball, 1 week in the majors? Is that what we're doing?
Well, we're not going that far, but as someone who was skeptical of him pitching and hitting, I mean, he's putting a clown suit on me, and there was a lot of guys like, hey, look, he hasn't played in the major leagues. This is the best baseball in the world. That's fine what he did in his country and another country, but let's see him do it over here in the major league. So far, this kid looks like he can really play.
He's a better story right now than the Dodgers. He's must-see TV for me. And listen, late at night, Anaheim Angels, they're looking good. I like what I've seen so far.
He's a better story than Giancarlo Stanton right now. I'll give you that.
Let's not talk about my Yankees, okay?
But, yeah, and he may turn out to be the best story in baseball. Again, we haven't seen this since Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
You and I weren't around. I've eaten a lot of Babe Ruths, but we were not around to see Babe Ruth play. All right, we're off tomorrow. Cowherd will be back on Monday.
Will he?
Thanks for watching.